The thin winter rain streamed down the windows of the small pastry shop downtown when Jessica completed her 27th birthday alone. Sitting in her wheelchair in front of a chocolate cake, she watched people hurry by on the wet sidewalk. 2 years ago, a hiking accident had completely changed her life. Now her legs no longer responded, and her mother, who always accompanied her on these intimate celebrations, had passed away the previous year from a stroke. Her father, a tech magnate, was, as always, on a video conference with Japanese investors. For him, business never stopped, not even on his only daughter's birthday. Jessica sighed and looked down at the untouched cake when a child's voice broke the silence around her. "It's your birthday. Can I sing Happy Birthday with you?" A girl of about 6 years old stood next to her table, her large, curious eyes sparkling. In her small hands, she held a crumpled drawing of a cat wearing a party hat. Behind her, a man approached quickly, clearly embarrassed. "Chloe, we shouldn't bother people," he said softly, placing a hand on the girl's shoulder. "I'm sorry, she's very spontaneous." Jessica looked at the two. The man appeared to be about 35 years old, with a scruffy beard and gentle eyes that showed tiredness, but also genuine kindness. Something in her heart warmed for the first time in months. "Please," Jessica said, mustering a fragile smile. "I would love the company." Chloe smiled radiantly and pulled up a chair. Her father hesitated, but Jessica gestured for him to sit down too. He introduced himself as Leo, a chef who worked at a nearby restaurant. He had been a single father since his wife died of cancer 3 years earlier when Chloe was only 3, and so they sang Happy Birthday off-key, without rhythm, but with a sincerity that brought tears to Jessica's eyes. Not tears of sadness, but of overwhelming gratitude for that unexpected human connection. When they finished, she covered her face with her hands, her shoulders trembling. "Are you okay?" Chloe asked, gently touching her arm. "I am," Jessica whispered. "Thank you so much. It was the best present I could have received today." That afternoon, the three of them talked about simple things. Chloe's drawing, the recipes Leo created, the books Jessica read. When they said goodbye, something had changed. Jessica no longer felt completely alone in the world. In the following weeks, their meetings became frequent. Jessica had started painting. Classes at a rehabilitation center near the pastry shop, trying to relearn motor coordination with her left hand. It was there that Leo and Chloe found her again by chance, when he was dropping the girl off at a children's art class in the same location. "What a good coincidence," he said, smiling as he saw her concentrating on a canvas with shaky but determined brushstrokes. "Coincidence or destiny?" Jessica replied, returning the smile. From then on, Leo started waiting for her after class. When it rained, always with an umbrella in hand, he never made a big deal out of it, just showed up and accompanied her home, pushing her chair carefully through the city's uneven streets. They talked about everything and nothing, building a solid friendship based on mutual respect. One night, after a particularly strong storm, Jessica found a small box on her apartment table. Inside was a handmade brigadeiro and a note. "Thank you for showing me that life is sweeter when shared. Leo." It was then that she realized she was falling in love with a man who saw her for who she was, not as the disabled daughter of a millionaire or a victim worthy of pity. He saw her as a woman, as a complete person. The months passed, and the relationship blossomed naturally. Leo introduced her to his world, the restaurant where he worked, the friends who became family, the simple but rich routine of someone who lives with an open heart. Jessica discovered that he woke up at 5 a.m. to prepare fresh bread, that he sang softly while cooking, and that he put all of Chloe's drawings on the refrigerator door as if they were works of art in the Louvre. She, in turn, shared her paintings, her fears, her dreams that she had thought were lost forever. On Sunday afternoons, the three of them created a special tradition. Jessica would teach Chloe to mix colors on the canvas, while Leo prepared handmade brigadeiros in the kitchen of her apartment. the aroma of chocolate mixed with the smell of fresh paint. And Chloe's laughter echoed through the rooms. They were simple moments, but they filled a void that Jessica didn't even know existed. For the first time since the accident, she felt part of something bigger than her own pain. Chloe became the link that definitively united the three. The girl called Jessica Aunt Jess and constantly asked her to teach her painting techniques. Together, they created a series of colorful paintings that decorated Leo's apartment. Everything changed when a gossip magazine published photos of Jessica at the pastry shop with the headline, "Billionaire Heiress Trades a Life of Luxury for Romance in a Popular Pastry Shop." The images showed her smiling next to Leo and Chloe, with malicious insinuations about his possible interest in her family's money, and questions about the real motivation for a relationship with someone in a wheelchair. For 3 days, Jessica completely isolated herself. She turned off her phone, cancelled her painting classes, and didn't leave the house. The pain of humiliation consumed her. The article had reduced her value as a woman to just her bank account, insinuating that no one could be genuinely interested in her, that her disability made her so unattractive that only money could explain someone's interest. It was exactly the fear she had carried since the accident, now emblazoned in a cruel headline for everyone to see. On the third night, a gentle knock on the door broke her isolation. It was Leo, holding a cup of hot tea and a gentle smile that said everything without needing words. "Can I come in?" he asked simply. He spent the entire night sitting in the armchair next to the sofa where she had curled up, without trying to force conversation, just present. When Jessica woke up the next morning, he was still there, and for the first time since the article was published, she felt safe. "Thank you for staying," she murmured. "That's what we do for the people we love," Leo replied, without drama, just as a natural truth. In that moment, Jessica knew she had found her place in the world. When her father finally came to visit weeks later, he found his daughter painting next to Chloe at the pastry shop. His expression hardened when he saw the scene. "Jessica, we need to talk about your associations," he said coldly. "Dad, these are the people who brought me back to life," she replied with firmness. "Leo doesn't see me as your disabled daughter. He sees me as a woman capable of loving and being loved." The businessman watched Leo approach discreetly, greeting him respectfully, but without submission. He saw Chloe hug Jessica with absolute naturalness, and for the first time, he understood that he had lost precious moments of his daughter's life, chasing numbers on spreadsheets. "Perhaps I have a lot to learn about what truly matters," her father admitted, his voice choked with emotion. 6 months later, during Chloe's end-of-year school presentation, the girl went on stage after her performance and asked for the microphone. With the seriousness of a determined child, she looked directly at Jessica and Leo in the audience. "Aunt Jess, do you want to marry my dad?" The entire auditorium collectively gasped. Leo, red with embarrassment but smiling, got up and walked to the stage. From a pocket, he took out a small box. "I had a different plan," he said, kneeling in front of Jessica's chair, "but our daughter got ahead of me." The ring was simple, a white gold band that perfectly reflected who they were, without ostentation, but solid and true. "Yes," Jessica replied, tears streaming freely. "Yes, because you reminded me that I was never broken, just waiting for the right family." The audience erupted in applause. Chloe jumped for joy, and her father, sitting in the front rows, smiled with teary eyes, finally understanding what he had both lost and gained. At the end of that night, while watching the stars from the backyard of Leo's house with Chloe sleeping in her father's arms, Jessica reflected on her journey. She had learned that true love doesn't fix broken people, because people are never truly incomplete. True love just removes the layers of pain and fear that prevent us from seeing our own completeness. She had discovered that strength does not come from the absence of limitations, but from the ability to build something beautiful within them. And most importantly, that family is not determined by blood or circumstances, but by the people who choose to stay by our side when the whole world seems to be falling apart. Life was no longer the one she had planned at 20, but it was infinitely richer than any plan could have predicted. Because sometimes, life's greatest gifts come disguised as coincidences on rainy afternoons, when a brave child asks if she can sing Happy Birthday to a lonely stranger. If this story has touched your heart and reminded you that even in the darkest moments, there is always hope for a new beginning, share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Subscribe to the channel and leave your like so we can continue to bring you stories that celebrate the beauty and strength of the human spirit.